How to order decimals from least to greatest. To order decimals from least to greatest, there are 6 steps. Step 1, group all the negatives and positives. Step 2, write all negatives with decimals and place values lined up. Add placeholders. Step 3, write all positives with decimals and place values lined up. Add placeholders where needed. Step 4, compare place values of your negatives. Start on the left and work place value to place value, comparing your digits across all numbers. Step 5, compare place values of your positives. Start on the left and compare place values, place value by place value, with your digits across all of your numbers. Step 6, write your final order. Use commas to separate. Remember, negatives are smaller than positives, and you like to think sometimes negatives count down. So let's compare these 6 numbers. Step 1, group positives and negatives. Negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive. Step 2, write all negatives with decimals and place values lined up. Add placeholders where needed. First, I'm going to line up my... Next, I'm going to look at where I need placeholders and add them in so that all of my numbers have the exact same number of digits, both for whole numbers, meaning I need to add 2 digits here and move that negative out, and for my decimals, I need to add 2 decimal digits here and 2 decimal digits here, so they each have the same number of place values filled in. Now we need to do the same thing with our positives. First, I'm going to line up the decimal. Next, I'm going to add placeholder zeros so that everything has the same number of digits. My largest number of whole number digits is 3, so I'm going to add a 0 to the first number. My largest number of decimal digits is 4, so I'm going to add placeholder zeros to the second and third. Step 4 says compare the place values of your negatives starting on the left. I'm going to start with my first place value. Since they're all negatives, I want to look at which one is closest to 0 for the biggest. I have 3, 3, 0. 0 is closest to 0. So this is my biggest. Next place value. They're all zeros. No help there. Next place value. I already figured out my biggest, so I really only need to look at the first 2. Same digit, same placeholder. 0, same digit, same placeholder. 4, same digit, same placeholder. 1 and 2. Which of these is closer to 0? I'm looking at negative, so I want the one closest to 0. So this is my middle number, which means this has to be my smallest. Now let's compare our positives. Start on the left. 3, 3, 0. Well, the first number on the top is definitely the smallest. So since I've already used the first number, I'm only going to compare the last 2. 4 is bigger than 0. With positives, that's all I care about. So this must be my middle number, and this must be my biggest number. Sometimes it can help to start listing things out to begin with. I'll give you an example as I fill it out. By knowing I had 6 numbers, 3 of them were negative and 3 were positive, I can help myself. The ones on the left are negative and the ones on the right are positive. When I found out this was my biggest number, I could then write it in. Negative 30.4041. When I found out the top number in the negatives was my middle number, I could fill it in. 3040.41, and finally negative 3040.42. Comma, comma, comma. Smallest of my positives, 30.4041, comma, 304.041, comma, 340.04. It's a bit sloppy because I ran out of room for writing. but we can see the order that they would go in. Step 6 is write the final order. Use commas to separate. Now, this is important because this is the trick for how to solve something from another video. In another video, I said, compare these on the number line and see if you can put them in order from least to greatest. The really nice thing about this is we just learned how to do it. We're going to write all our numbers, first sorting negatives and positives. These are all positives. So then I'm going to write the numbers in order and compare first place value to second place value. We can look at these and start lining up our decimals, as I did, and comparing on the left. If we look at the first row when we compare, I have 0, 0, and 1. Well, that 1 is the biggest. If you look, I have a bunch of other zeros. So let's line all of our zeros up because we know that they're going to be smaller than the ones that have 1. Now, all my decimals are lined up. I compare the first one, I have all my placeholders in, all zeros. So then all I got to do is I got to look. I have a 0. That's my next smallest digit after the decimal. We're going to compare these. There are difference. The smallest is 0, so he must be the smallest piece. 2 is the next smallest. 3 is the next smallest. 5, 7, 9. And what we find out here is really quickly, we can start placing these. We can do the same thing with the ones. My decimals are lined up, so I look at my ones place value, all ones. So now let's look at the tenths place value and go from least to greatest. We ended at F, so we're going to look 1, G, 2, H, 4, I, 5, J, 7, K, 8, L. Now it is simply a matter of matching everything up and putting either our letters on or our numbers on. Whenever I do a number line, I prefer to move the numbers themselves. So I would actually place 0.54 by D so I could see. And as you can see, once they're all lined up for you, it's really easy to see that we're simply counting up. And then you could line up your numbers if you wanted.